This is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I'm sitting in my own living room couch today, getting a little comfortable. I get to talk to someone who's doing something that I used to do, but he's doing it at a much younger age. He's basically sailing around the world, and he's coming in from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it's Michael Fielding. How are you, Michael?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's your sailing trip been going so far?
Oh, it's been incredible. Just, ups and downs. I'm seeing beautiful weather and storms and getting to experience so much of the world. So I'm really having a blast out here.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit more about that because I've got lots of great sailing experiences as well. But the first question I always have to ask is, how did you become an anarchist?
Well, it really all started when I began to doubt my religion in high school. And that kind of taught me that just because a lot of people believe something, that doesn't necessarily make it true. So that kind of freed my mind to think about problems that most people weren't willing to think about. And I just became more of a libertarian over time as I learned more about history and economics. And then it really took Stefan Molyneux's videos on YouTube to kind of help me break free from that minarchist camp and realize that government is inherently flawed and you can't fix it, because if you fixed it, it would just no longer be a government. And at that point, I started calling myself an anarchist.
That's great. And so how old are you now?
I'm 22.
So you're very young. So it's when I first bought my first sailboat and tried to sail around the world, I was 34. And a lot of people said I was young,
Oh, wow.
but
Yeah, well, I learned sailing in the club at University of Texas. They had a sailing club, and then just kind of learned more and more and worked my way up, and eventually bought the boat. And it was kind of a fixer-upper, so I spent a lot of time making repairs and just got more experience, and eventually felt ready to go ahead and take on the ocean. So that's how I got here.
yeah, it's amazing. One of the things about sailing that really I found special was just being out there by yourself. Not necessarily in the middle of the ocean, but as far as the eye can see, just water, and there's really no one else out there. And you really get to have some introspective moments out there.
Definitely, that was one of my favorite parts about it, was just being far enough away from society to really get to think for myself and just have all that time out in nature, watching the clouds and the waves and just kind of meditating, and gave me a lot of time to think about myself and my place in the world and what can I do with my life.
And so, do you have any plan, or are you just sailing and going to see what happens?
Yeah, for now, I don't really have any firm destination in mind. I'm just enjoying my time and exploring and trying to soak up as much of all the cultures that I visit as I can. And just kind of out here learning, learning who I am and what the world's all about.
Yeah, that's probably the best education you can get is traveling, and by sailboat, that's even more educational. And the thing I found when I traveled, I've been to about 100 countries now, and it really opens your eyes. It's by far the best education. So I'm glad to see you're doing that rather than spending a lot of time in school or anything like that. That's what you're doing right now is by far the best education, and it really gets yourself outside of the statist mindset when you go to numerous different nation states. All of a sudden saying, we have to support the troops doesn't make any sense when you're in Dominican Republic or in China. Which troops are you talking about? You get out of this mindset of we are this certain people because we live here, and this is us, and this concept of us and we that people get all wrapped up in really gets torn to shreds when you travel and you meet people all around the world.
Absolutely. And the more different places I see, the more you see that, people are basically all the same. There are some good people, there are some bad people, and it really does help you break free from that kind of herd mentality where you associate yourself with the nation that you were born in, when really it's just the whole world. We're one people, all humans throughout the world, we're in the same boat. We're on the same planet. So um, sailing really helped me realize that for sure.
Yeah, it totally is the case. And of course, that's what governments and the state and the media try to do is try to make you scared of the rest of the world. They try to say, well, these people do that and they're bad. And or like George Bush with his, they're evil. These people who live in this country, they're all evil. That's an insane concept. I've never been to a place where everyone's evil. If anything, it's Washington, D.C. It's probably got the highest content of evil people that I've ever seen. But yeah, it's totally the case. And you'll find that out as you travel more. It's exactly the same almost everywhere. Almost everyone just wants sort of the same thing, and they just want to basically be happy. Uh, you know, and what you'll also find too is that the U.S. is probably one of the most statist places on earth. You'll go to a lot of places where if you ask them what do they think about government, they'll just say, well, I don't really think about it. I don't care about it. It really has nothing to do with me. It's more of a nuisance than anything, rather than what we have in the U.S. today where, yeah,
Definitely, that's been my
go ahead.
yeah, definitely. Especially, I actually visited Haiti on the way, and yeah, the process with customs was really a little bit tense and everything, but it kind of showed me that um, governments because they needed us to kind of pay them off to be able to enter the port. So it's the same if you're going anywhere, you have to pay these taxes or these you know, tariffs to get into a nation. But there, it really helped me see that this is fundamentally immoral because they're just threatening me with violence. And so getting to see that experience was really interesting as well.
Yeah, that's great. Would you what prompted you to go on this trip? Are you running away from the U.S. or you just want to see the rest of the world?
Um, I wouldn't call it running away so much as just trying to stand up for what I believe is right. So I look at everything the US government's doing, and I don't want to help them fund those wars or, the war on drugs, or I don't want my hard work to go towards things that I don't support. So I'm not so much running away as just withdrawing my support by taking away my money from this system that I consider evil. But also, I do want to explore the world and just see more land and more people, and um, try to learn really what's out there. So it's kind of a combination, I guess.
Oh, that's great. You're wise beyond your years for already realizing that and
Thank
realizing you can withdraw support for what is inherently evil. They're stealing money and they're taking it and they're killing other people with it. And it's just outrageous and horrible. But people see it as they're so brainwashed from all their 12 years of government indoctrination camps and the media at night with their television programming. Uh, People just can't even see what they're actually doing. They have this massive amount of cognitive dissonance. A lot of people in the U.S. are just so hilarious because they go, well, we live in the land of the free. There's very few countries on earth less free than the U.S. right now, certainly in terms of being able to do what you want. So you can't really even cross the street without if the sign's doesn't say walk and you walk across the street, you're almost certainly going to get a. I was just in San Diego, and there was this guy standing there. It was like 3 in the morning. There wasn't anyone around, and I just crossed the street. And I looked at him because he was standing on the corner just waiting for the sign to change. And I said, "What are you doing, man? Like, why don't you just walk?" And he said, "I've already gotten two $250 tickets this month for jaywalking." He said, "I'm not going to do it anymore." So he's been subdued into, just it's just unbelievable. It's just terrible. Everything there has become such a police state. And so I think you're really going to discover along your travels a lot of different ways that people live and how much healthier it is too. One example is in many countries there isn't really any traffic laws, anything, speed limits. There's no cops pulling you over for anything, no for not using a signal light or for anything like that. And what you find is there's no road rage in those countries. And there only is one real rule, and the rule is don't hit anybody. And
Yeah,
and it works really well. And no one has road rage. But you go to the US or Canada or any of the Western
yeah, it's
countries.
really the only real
Yeah, that's right. Just like in real life, we only need one real rule. Just don't hurt anybody or don't don't lie, don't steal. All these things you learn in kindergarten is pretty much all you really need to know, and those are the only
Hmm.
laws and rules that we really need. Now, of course, you can make your own rules and private rules. I have no problem with that. If someone has an area, they can make all the rules they want. I don't care. As long as I have a choice not to go there, and they're not going to force those rules upon me wherever I am, as long as I'm not on their property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, where do you go from here?
Well, I plan to stay in Puerto Rico for a few months, and I really want to get a better feel of the culture and trying to learn Spanish and kind of just enjoying my time for now. And I need to make a few sailboat repairs while I'm here. And after that, I'm probably going to continue south down the Lesser Antilles and just hit a bunch of the islands on the way. And I don't know. I guess I'll see where the wind takes me.
Yeah, that's it. That's usually what decides where you go on a sailboat. And yeah, you're going
Hmm.
to get used to all the repairs. There's not a day goes by on a sailboat where something doesn't break. You probably already found that out.
Hmm. Yeah.
But really, there is not many ways to live much freer on this planet right now than to be on a sailboat. You can really just go wherever you want. You don't even really have to check in at in countries and actually check in and get your passport stamped. Like, it's smart to do that because there's a lot of criminals running around in costumes and guns who, if they found out you didn't do that,
Yeah.
they'll kidnap you and put you in a cage. But you really don't have to. Many times on my sailboat, I just wouldn't even bother. I just pull up and just go. And often, I'll give you one example. I was coming from Canada, or I was going from the U.S. to Canada just to go see some friends for the summer. And the only way to really check in, there's this dock in Victoria, BC, and there's just a red phone on it. And supposedly, whenever you come into the country via a boat, you're supposed to stop at that dock and call them on the phone and let them know you're there, and then they come down and stamp your passport or whatever. But it's really quite funny how much freer it is than traveling by plane, for example, where you're just constantly being checked and your bags are checked and x-rayed and groped and questioned. So you're really doing it right. So I wish you the best of luck with all your sailing. And you have a blog where people can follow you called the Sailboat Diaries, which is excellent. We've featured a number of your articles on our site, the Dollar Vigilante. Why don't you let people know where they can read that?
Okay, it's at sailboatdiaries.com, and I also have a Twitter and a YouTube, which are also Sailboat Diaries. So that's how people can follow
That's
me.
great. I wish you the best of travels.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, that's all for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Until next time, peace, love, and anarchy.